So here's another situation that you might run into where you have two here that are where they need to be. In this case, the yellow and the red, and two that are flip-flopped. These two here. And there's a couple ways that you can work your way through this. One is, of course, just do middle swap. Swap these two. That way these will be where they're supposed to be. But this is going to be turned all the way around, and we'll sort of break symmetry with that. But that's okay. Again, the whole point is to get them all within 180 degrees of where they need to be. So we'll do the middle swap and see what happens. To U, I'm sorry, to R, U, to R, U, to R, to U, to R, to U, to R, U, to R, U, I, to U. Okay, so predictably that did swap those, but what it also did is it also rotated this 180 degrees, so it messed these up. So now everything appears to be messed up, but at least they're within 180 degrees of where they need to be. So now, plus I created a parity situation here. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this and I'm going to do a middle swap here. Now let's consider what's going to happen when I do that. This is going to come here, this is going to come here, and this is going to rotate. Which means my yellows and my whites will be fixed, but these will be opposite of where they need to be, so that gets us to that same familiar parity situation. So let's go ahead and swap it and fix this parity that we created here, swapping these two. So that's going to be 2R, 2U, 2R, 2U, 2R, 2U. And it did what we predicted. These are now in line, these are not. So now it's just a question of doing the URF'd algorithm. So we'll apply that, see what happens. U, R, F, then again, U, R prime, F. And then split it here, U, D, F, I, R, U, I, F, R, I, and bring it back here. And that fixes it. That fixes it, and then we can go on and solve for the centers here. In case you couldn't see that, so you can see these are all fixed here. Centers where they need to be, where they need to be. And then the final move. Okay, and it's solved. And you solved your 4x4 supercube doing the simple layer by layer method. Here's another situation that you might run into, the final possibility, and that's when you have these two in the wrong place, all that have to be 90 degrees from each other, and these two. So you have these two which are actually out of place. So what you do is you just middle swap and make your prediction as to what's going to happen. If you do the middle swap, white's going to be here, red's going to be here, but this is going to be rotated 180 degrees. So white's going to be up here, and red's going to be over here. So they're still going to be within 180 degrees, and you're going to create a parity situation here, and then these two are going to have to be switched. So let's see what happens when we do that. We middle swap to U, to R, U, to R, U, to R, to U, to R, to U, to R, U, to R, UI, to U. Okay, so exactly as predicted, these did get swapped, but this rotated 180 degrees. And we have parity here, so we're going to have to continue to do what we got to do over here. Now because this is 180 degrees from where we want it, so is this is not, and this is not. So we're going to move this down here so that we can fix this. I hope you saw that. And then we're going to flip it again, middle switch again. This will predictably put the yellow here and purple here. This is going to be rotated around, and it should actually solve it, because then it's going to be red on red, white on white, and then the purple is going to be over here. So this should actually solve the whole thing if we middle swap these two. So 2R, U, 2R, U, 2R, 2u, 2r, 2u, 2r, u, 2r, ui, 2u, and exactly as predicted, it fixed the parity issues. We'll put these back into place so you can see all the middles are where they need to be. So this is that particular configuration, and that's really probably the final parity issue that you can have. So all you had to do was to solve it layer by layer. Then of course we put these edges back in place. All you had to do was do your middle flipping algorithm and pay attention to what happens here, possibly doing the URF if you end up with these two where they need to be and these two needing to be switched. You just do that. Ultimately you have to potentially end up with that. And that's it. Well, we might as well solve this just for the sake of completeness. This isn't where it's supposed to be. Where it's supposed to be, not. Aha! These two are supposed to be where they're supposed to be, these two are not. So, ride 'em, cowboy. Let's make short work of this. It's always good to end a tutorial with an actually solved cube. And there it is. Any questions, or if you encounter any situations not described here, let me know. But otherwise, that's how to do the layer by layer without having to learn new algorithms to try to get this back into position.